Dr. Fauci, I want to bring in someone who's much smarter than me, our chief medical correspondent, Dr. Sanjay Gupta. Sanjay, I know you've got some questions for Dr. Fauci.
Yeah. Hey, Dr. Fauci. Good evening. Thanks for being here. You know, the overall hospitalizations are about 2.5 times what they were at this point last year, and deaths are about 2 times. Obviously, a terrible situation. A lot of the president's speech was about vaccines, but how long do you think we'll actually get the impact of those new vaccine mandates if they happen? Is it going to be in time for what we're dealing with right now?
Well, it's certainly not going to be immediate, as you know, Sanjay, because you're going to have to talk about, you know, a few weeks from the time you get your first dose to the time you get your boost, and then 7 to 14 days thereafter. So we're talking about what happens today is going to have an impact maybe 6 or more weeks from now. So in the meantime, as you well know, we've got to do both. You've got to do mitigation at the same time as you do accelerating the vaccine program. And the mitigation has to do with masking, mask mandates, avoiding congregate settings, particularly indoors, all the things that you and I have discussed so many times. You got to do both of those things simultaneously, because there is that lag of 6 weeks or more before you get the full impact of a vaccine that you give today.
You know, when it comes to the mandates through the Department of Labor and companies that have 100 or more employees, my understanding of what the president was saying, Dr. Fauci, was that either you get a vaccine or you have to be tested regularly. And oftentimes it seems like these two things are commingled, like do one or the other. But in one case, you're preventing it. In the other case, you're diagnosing it. Why not just do the vaccine mandate and not say that the testing can be sort of this off-ramp?
Well, I think the president is you know, being somewhat moderate in his demand, if you want to call it that, in that there are some people who really don't want to get vaccinated, but they don't want to lose their job. You got to give them an off lane. And the off lane is if you get tested frequently enough and find out you're positive, you won't come to work and you won't infect other people. So it really is somewhat of a compromise there. Myself, I would make it just vaccinate or not. But he was trying to be moderate in what his pronouncement was.
And just real quickly, there was a study that came out of Israel about natural immunity. And basically the headline was that natural immunity provides a lot of protection, even better than the vaccines alone. What are people to make of that? So as we talk about vaccine mandates, I get calls all the time. People say, I've already had COVID, I'm protected, and now the study says maybe even more protected than the vaccine alone. Should they also get the vaccine? How do you make the case to them?
You know, that's a really good point, Sanjay. I don't have a really firm answer for you on that. That's something that we're going to have to discuss regarding the durability of the response. The one thing the paper from Israel didn't tell you is whether or not, as high as the protection is with natural infection, what's the durability compared to the durability of a vaccine. So it is conceivable that you got infected, you're protected, but you may not be protected for an indefinite period of time. So I think that is something that we need to sit down and discuss seriously, because you very appropriately pointed out it is an issue, and there could be an argument for saying what you said.